Today, I'm going to be showing you the new version of workforce management called Site Manager. To navigate to Site Manager, you can go to the AF Store's homepage, scroll all the way to the bottom where it says Employee Access. Once you click Employee Access, you'll see WFM ESS Red Prairie right here. Of course, once you navigate to this website, you can save it as a favorite or a bookmark or put an icon on your desktop. This website supports cell phones, iPads, and computers. This is the main login screen. To log into the system, you need to know your employee number and your password. If you don't know what your current WFM password is, the bookkeeper in your store can reset it for you. Once you sign into the system, your default screen will be your time off requests. Before we get into writing a schedule, though, I want to show you some tips and tricks on navigating this new website. The first one is in the top right where you see your employee number. If you click on it, you can change your password as well as log out of the system. It's always a good idea to log out if you're going to be leaving a community computer. The system will automatically log you out after 15 minutes. Next, you'll see your store number. When you click on your store number, you can choose which departments you're looking at. In this case, I'm looking at the front end. If I wanted to look at multiple departments or a different department, I choose my drop-down box. Next, across the top is what we refer to as the Google box. The Google box allows you to search for anything across the entire program. So if you don't remember where time off is, you can just search time off and it will show you all of the relevant websites for time off. Okay, once you're inside of an app, you can always click column headings to arrange your sorting. So for instance, on this particular time off request app, I can go by employee name, status, dates, type, or sort the request time. You will also see on most websites a refresh button that allows you to refresh the information you're looking at, as well as a print button. The final tip is the hamburger menu over here. That's these three horizontal lines. When you click on the hamburger menu, it expands your navigation pane. The navigation can be pinned open by clicking the pin button. I prefer, however, to leave it unpinned and open it when I need it. Okay, now that you know a quick few tips on how to get around the website, let's talk about writing a good schedule. The first step to writing a good schedule is making sure all of your time off requests have been either approved or denied. As team members submit time off through their ESS portal, they will show up here automatically under your pending list. You can also click the request calendar. The request calendar gives you a nice color-coded view of all of your time off requests. As you click on the color coding, it'll show you the time off requests that fall under that category. For instance, I have 8 approved for this Saturday. If I want to look at or take action on that time off request, I simply click on the team member's name. Once I click on the team member's name, I'll see all the details about this time off request. This is where I can approve it, deny it, or cancel it along the bottom left, as well as view additional information on the tabs across the top. For instance, the team member's accruals, peer requests, which is really handy. This will show you the time off requests for the same date range for the same job code. So if you have a rule of thumb on how many cashiers you can have off on a Saturday, you can see how many other cashiers have already taken this time off before you approve this one. You can also see employee history. This is useful for seeing how often or how recently this team member has already had time off. Back on the calendar, you can always hide your pending and hide approved as well, so you can see which ones you need to take action on. Of course, the green ones have already been approved, so we can leave those as they are. Let's go back to pending. You'll see here I have my team members that are waiting approval here. I can click on the status here to show me the time off request as well. This is where I approve, deny, or cancel. Okay, once you've satisfied all your time off requests, the next step is to make sure your forecasts are up to date. This is under planning, forecasting. Once you're under forecasting, you choose ARO forecasting and pull up the relevant week. This is generally something the store director is going to handle in your store. Forecasts always have to be done for 2 weeks in advance. When the auto schedule runs, it's going to use the cells that were put in the forecast to determine how many cashiers and baggers to schedule for your store. So it's important to have your forecasts always up to date. Once your forecasts are up to date, the next step is to make sure your team members' availability is current. Availability is found under the Employee section, Availability. Let's grab a team member that already has availability. Okay, this team member has availability that started October 28th of 2019. To view the current availability, I would click Current. If you're going to change or add a new availability, you always want to click Add Availability and choose a start date. It's important to do this rather than modifying the current availability, because you don't want the new availability to start until the date you put in. To review how availability works, let's look at the current availability for this team member. Okay, so this team member is available to work from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Monday. If you need to make a change to this, you simply highlight the time and update it. Okay, now this team member can work from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. When the auto schedule runs, those are the only times this team member will be available to work. Beside general availability, you can also do preferred availability. This isn't used very often, but it will allow the system to, for instance, have a more strict time when the team member prefers to work. So in this instance, now the team member could work from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m., but prefers to work 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. Lastly, under availability, you can also do fixed shifts. So for this example, I could do a fixed shift from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. as an e-commerce clerk. Now when the auto schedule runs, no matter what, this team member will get a 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. e-commerce shift every Monday. Once your availability is updated for all of your front-end team members, you can look at their schedule constraints. Schedule constraints are similar to availability. Under your schedule constraints, you tell the system how many hours a team member can work. Starting at the top, you can see here we have blank boxes. If you have blank boxes, it'll follow the system default, which is minimum of 4, maximum of 8. If you'd like to change this, for instance, by putting 7 here, now every time this team member is scheduled Monday through Thursday, they will get at least a 7-hour shift. Alternatively, I could put a number here, such as 5, and now when the auto schedule runs, this team member will never be scheduled more than 5 hours on a Friday or a Saturday. Generally, the more open you leave this, the more opportunity the team member has for hours. Okay, now in the by-week section, we also have some additional options. For instance, minimum hours per week. This setting is going to default to 0 and generally should be set to 0. The only time you'd want to increase this is if you're guaranteeing hours for a team member. For instance, if I put 28 here, no matter what, this team member is going to get 28 hours when the auto schedule runs. Likewise, I have a maximum hours here. So if I put 35 hours here, when the auto schedule runs, this team member is not going to have more than 35 hours. Same idea with max days per week. max consecutive days per week, as well as max consecutive days across weeks. Down in the bottom, the last setting here is minimum hours between shifts. The default is 8 here. You could increase that to ensure the team member has time off in between their shifts. That's the end of part 1 for Site Manager. Again, we covered time off requests, forecasting, availability, and schedule constraints. Those 4 things always need to be up to date before you run an auto schedule.